Hello, everyone. Today we have the next in the series of master classes in the framework of Excel and Elevate initiative that we have for our network members. And we have a special guest today with us, Piotr, who is joining us from Poland and will be leading us through the effective leadership tips and tricks, some really good information and important qualities of how to become an effective leader and etc. Piotr is a guest for us because he's joining us from the Civil Match Forum as one of the winners of the prizes, and he represents the organization Stowarzyszenie Innowatorium. If I pronounce it incorrectly, please correct me, Piotr, and go ahead with adding anything that I missed to tell about you.
No,
Thank you.
You said exactly what I wanted to say, how I wanted to introduce myself. You pronounced it correctly as well, so there was no problem as well. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be here today with you, for the generosity and courtesy of EENCE. So now we can start with this presentation, if you don't mind.
Sure thing. We had two more people joined us, so yeah, we can start, of course. Thank you.
So the basic question when we think about effective leadership is, why do we need effective leaders? The difference between a good company and a great company can be linked to many factors, but perhaps one of the most compelling drivers of success is great leadership. Strong leadership can turn a high turnover employee pool into a committed, engaged workforce. It can spur innovation and creativity where others are stumped by challenges. It can empower individuals to take ownership and pride in their work instead of passing the buck. Any company or organization that places a priority on strong leadership will reap the benefits in every aspect of their workforce and their company's performance. So the first thing is, the effective leaders empower others to be their best. We've seen all those companies and organizations where leaders just can't let go. They get involved in everything, every meeting. They have to have a say in every project. They want to tell all the employees how to do their work. They feel they must be involved in every decision, no matter how small. This style of leadership inevitably stifles employees because they don't feel empowered to be their best. They play it safe rather than innovate, and they do their bare minimum rather than doing what's best for their organization or company. In this kind of environment, creativity and innovation suffers, and employees quickly lose any incentive to give 100% of their potential. Former Apple CEO Steve Jobs put it best when he once said, "It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." Leaders who work to empower others are more likely to be trusted by their employees, according to one research survey. These leaders are also more likely to have employees who take on greater accountability. They delegate authority to their employees, ask them for their input, they encourage them to make their own decisions. The result is a more proactive workforce where everyone is engaged in driving success of company, organization. In fact, studies show that empowered employees have greater job satisfaction, better organizational commitment, and improved task performance. Empowered employees also have lower stress levels and less of a desire to change jobs. In the end, a strong leadership is needed to recognize and pursue employee empowerment as well. Leaders with strong ethics and unwavering morals lead better companies. That's one of the things that mostly gets overlooked when we think about great leaders. But whether you follow the golden rule or follow your own moral code, Your perceived ethics and morality play a big role in your company's success. In fact, some studies found that leaders who prioritized morality over linked to higher performing organization with less employee turnover. At the same time, their employees were not only more creative, more proactive, they were also better engaged and more satisfied by their own work. Leaders who prioritize morality are essentially practicing what they preach. Their actions speak for themselves, and employees tend to trust and follow those leaders more readily than their less moral peers. When leaders display truly moral and ethical behavior, their actions can they can have far-reaching effects. For example, if a CEO of a company takes a ISO certification seriously and refuses to cut corners, employees will follow suit by raising their own standards. So this certification won't be a dead letter, but will be enforced in full. If the company leaders emphasize the importance of sexual harassment training, for example, employees will also take heed and be more cautious and respectful in their own behavior. And if the managers make transparent and fair decisions around compensation and bonuses, then employees will also feel more motivated to put their best effort in their work. All of these actions by great leaders can have direct consequences for organizations they work for. Great leaders drive the company's vision or organization's vision. Even when leaders motivate and empower their employees, they still have one more important responsibility: being a champion for the company's vision. In the daily grind of never-ending projects and constant emergencies, it can be easy to lose sight of your organization's vision. This is especially true when the company management starts to dwell on things like profits, expansion, market placement, and other such things. But great leaders have the ability to step back and frame their work around the company's vision. For example, what does the company strive for? What does the company promise to deliver? And where does the company see itself in 5, 10, 15 years? Some leaders create a mission statement to capture those goals. Others might use service excellence standards or a company motto or anything that will motivate their team to be their best. But no matter how the company's vision is laid out, it is vital to have strong leaders in place who can champion that mission. And when the company starts to veer, of course, as can sometimes happen, a great leader will steer everyone back on track by placing that original company vision first and foremost. Where great leaders go, companies will follow. An organization without great leadership is like a ship without rudder. Everyone flounders along as best as they can, and they try to look out for themselves along the way. Unfortunately, many companies persist in this state until they eventually fail. But when strong leaders take the helm, employees have someone to put their faith in. Once that connection of trust is established, employees will follow their leaders through whatever challenges may arise. If a company has to downsize, for example, a great leader will rally the remaining employees and keep their spirits up and their focus pointing to the future. If the company's stock takes a hit, or if an important investor falls through, great leaders will be transparent and honest with their employees to allay any fears. And if a major change, such as a merger of a new acquisition is on the horizon, great leaders will prepare their employees for the future state of the company or any other organization for that matter, all while maintaining morally and fostering engagement. In the end, companies look to their leaders for direction, motivation, and inspiration.
Piotr, can we ask questions to you along the way?
Yes, yes, of course, please.
So, because I think the audience is already consisting of leaders in different fields of education, of IT interest, industry,
Yes.
like academic field, and etc. So I wonder, how would you answer the question about what do you think? Are leaders born or they become leaders? One is born to be a leader, or one becomes a leader? What's your approach about that question?
Personally, I think that you may have some traits that might help you to succeed as a leader in the future, but in the end, it's what an amount of efforts you put into yourself, into your work, into your future education, etc. So that's what we should also always have in mind. We may have some traits of a great leader, but without any efforts, without any work, you are not able to fully attain your potential. So here is from my point of view, leaders are made, although they can be born with certain traits, and they should definitely work on them because they have something to expand upon. If you are not born with some exceptional traits, that's not a problem. You can work around this issue by working twice as hard. And that's that's how I would succinctly answer the question: are the leaders born or made? I think that they are mostly made. You can always think of yourself as highly as next leader, or someone who aspires to be a leader, but still you have to put some efforts into your life, your education, etc.
Thank you so much. And you talked about the trust, how employees should trust the leader should trust the values of the company, etc. What is, besides the trust, what is the next best skill or quality that a leader should have in order to succeed?
I would say that definitely they should be great communicators, because communication is the key when it comes to teamwork, because without it you cannot build trust, you cannot build any connection whatsoever to people you work basically with on a daily basis. So definitely should be a great communicator. A great leader also should think and act strategically, because that's what a great leader should be. So I'm not saying that you definitely have to be like a, I don't know, authoritarian figure for the people you work with, but definitely you should be able to think and act according to a strategy you should develop, because without great or grand, let's say grand vision, you cannot lead, because otherwise you would lead nowhere. So definitely think and act strategically.
Thank you. Maybe we can continue. I have no other questions.
Okay. Okay. So back to the question of born or made. I only briefly underlined some aspects, but in depth, we should remember definitely that the most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, that there is a genetic factor to leadership. This myth asserts that people simply either have certain charismatic qualities or not. And that is nonsense, because in fact the opposite is true. leaders are made rather than are born, as I already said. And yet, for a very, very long time, people assumed, according to an old leadership theory, the theory of a great man, that people, great leaders existed because they were born that way. Like, I don't like, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, George Washington, Dr. Martin Luther King, to name a few. This was a first theory that tried to explain how they came to exist, those great leaders. These people were characterized as heroic, almost mystical figures destined to rise to leadership. In later studies of leadership, a psychologist spearheaded a field of study called trait theory that expanded to an extent upon this great man theory. They attempted to identify individual leaders' traits and to develop a set of characteristics that others can understand and study and maybe imitate. If they try to become leaders like those figures, historical figures. Trait history theory in its simplest form naturally accords with the view that leaders are born, not made, as it studies individuals and then attempts to cluster a core of attributes, but definitely they cannot explain everything, and that's why they still exist. There are people who try to analyze leaders this way, but the benefit of those two theories is that they provide a general indication of a person's leadership potential. It provides an opportunity for organizations to be able to identify people who may have some leadership skills for which they can be further developed. But the criticism leveled at those theories questions why people who possess these skills are sometimes not leaders, and that's the core question in this area. Why is it that, for example, someone is born with traits that might indicate that they should be great leaders and they are not? And those theories cannot answer those questions, and they even don't try to answer that question. Why is that in some circumstances CEOs perform excellently, yet in another environment they may fail, even though they still possess their alleged great traits? This suggests that there are other factors at play. So these theories also rely on a level of subjectiveness to assess the traits in the first instance. So people from different cultures, languages, for example, may take into account different traits and analyze leaders in different aspects, and they can also come up with different conclusions. A recent study from Wake University found that there are neurological differences in the brains of people who had been indicated as leaders. So as we can see, there are some innate traits that might suggest that there are people who might be great leaders, but it doesn't mean that those people definitely will be great leaders. An interesting statement by a great NFL coach, Lombardi, who once said, "Leaders aren't born, they are made, and they are made just like everything else through hard work. And that's the price we'll have to pay to achieve that goal, or any goal." Parallels can be drawn with music, that there are talented performers such as singers who, despite no formal training in music, are able to perform with excellence. What many may not consider and what may be discounted is that that person may have grown up with singers as parents, or listened to a lot of music or that's like, and was surrounded by influences and had inadvertent informal training. But still, it's possible to put enough work to achieve greatness. So many believe that nurturing skills and growing them is the key to successful leadership. As someone said, everybody has talent, but ability takes hard work. So like I said earlier with Tatevik, everybody has potential, but the ability takes hard work. So we should always remember about it, and not necessarily rely on what we were born with, but definitely work hard to be better and better every day. There are many differing views on whether leaders are born or made, but these perspectives are differing. The new perspectives are developed every day. So ultimately it's up to us to decide if we are content with what we were given at birth, or what we can make of ourselves in the future through our hard work and dedication.
Can I add one thing more, Piotr? Due to this situation in the world with pandemic and everything, I think we have a new terminology for remote leaders, which is really hard to achieve. This is another challenge for these real leaders, let's say, how to lead remotely and how to make sure that the same training skills and qualities can apply to the remote work. So this is another challenge that I have faced at least these 2 past years, by the way.
Yes. This new reality of remote learning, working, etc., is definitely testing people in how they behave, how they can cooperate, how they can manage, etc., how they can lead. So I think that we should definitely look closely on it. But given the fact that it is a recent phenomenon, I think that we need 2 or 3 years more for deeper research into this, because I think that there are people who are already looking into this, and maybe they will come up with new with new theories about remote leaders. But I think that a great leader will be able to adapt, to adapt to new circumstances. So new setting shouldn't be an issue, a great issue for a great leader, because that's how great leaders should also behave and act. Also when we think about leadership, there's also a question of what's the difference between leaders and managers, because I think that on a daily basis we use those terms interchangeably, and that's in reality that's not the case, because a manager is an employee of the organization responsible for its management, and a leader is a person who leads, guides, and directs others. It's not a job when it comes to being a leader. Unlike being a manager, there is always a but when we talk about those terms, and that's why we should definitely talk about the terms a little more. In an organizational setup, a manager is an important link between the organization and its stakeholders: employees, customers, suppliers, shareholders, government, society, and so forth. He's the one who performs basic managerial functions. So he's a functionary. Conversely, a leader is the one who inspires, encourages, influences his team to work willingly in attainment of the organization's objectives. The two are not the one and the same, as I said earlier. So we should always have this in mind. Although one can only become a successful manager when she is an effective leader. So they are interconnected, although they can function separately. But to be a successful manager, you should be also an effective leader, a great leader. So in this context, what you need to know is that leadership is a skill, and the person who possesses this ability is known as a leader. On the other hand, management is a discipline, and the practitioner of this discipline is known as the manager. So that's this main difference between a leader and manager, although, like I said, they are very much interconnected and should be interconnected. So what are main differences between leaders and managers? A leader is someone who guides and leads other people. She gives a proper direction and purpose to their efforts by shaping and molding their behavior to attain the desired objective. On the other hand, a manager is someone who is responsible for the management of the organization. He looks after the day-to-day operations, keeps updated with the changes in the market, etc. A leader shapes employees' behavior and defines direction by developing and communicating organizational vision and stimulating them to achieve it. On the contrary, a manager tends to lay down the structure of the organization and delegate authority and responsibility to the employees, while leader performs just one function of management. That means providing direction. A manager performs all the functions of the management, meaning the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, etc. When it comes to the origination of authority, a leader possesses informal authority by virtue of his/her personal qualities like knowledge, skills, and abilities. Again, a manager has formal authority, unlike leader, due to his/her designation or position in the organization. Talking about approach, a leader has a proactive approach, as he can predict future events and takes preventive actions in advance, whereas a manager has a reactive approach. So she waits for the right time to take the action. A leader can be found in both formal and informal setup. In a business organization, informal group like family, friend circle. And once again, in contrast, a manager can be found in a formal setup because he's a functionary. In a business organization only, irrespective of its size, type, and nature. To become a leader, one requires leadership qualities, whereas to become a manager, one needs to possess both leadership as well as managerial qualities. Followers comply with leaders' instructions because of their own will, whereas employees comply with the instructions and orders of the manager because of the role of authority of the manager. When it comes to additional differences between leaders and managers, we should remember about those differences as follows. The key attribute of leader is foresightedness, while that of manager is quick decision-making regarding various matters and coordination of different activities and tasks effectively. A leader has followers who follow him, whereas a manager has employees in the form of subordinates who report to the manager about the day-to-day activities. While a leader sets directions for the entire group, a manager plans the activities for the smooth functioning of the concern. The manager uses a transactional leadership style wherein rewards and punishments are used to motivate employees, as against a leader uses transformational leadership style, in which the leader inspires his subordinates to bring change in their behavior so they can achieve the desired goal. A manager strives for efficiency, performing the task and activities in the right manner, completing them in a stipulated time while adhering to the rules. Conversely, a leader strives for effectiveness, doing the right thing. A leader focuses on the people whereas a manager focuses on the processes and workflows. A leader is a change agent. That is why she promotes such change, which is for the betterment of her subordinates and the organization as well. As against, a manager reacts to change in the business environment. The manager always tries to avoid conflict as she believes that is going to hamper the activities and growth of the organization. In contrast, a leader uses conflict as an asset so as to provoke people to do better than others. A leader aims at motivating and inspiring people. Oppositely, a manager aims at directing and controlling employees. While a manager arranges human resources, the leader aligns them. So once again, he molds this whole team she works with. And now the meat, because that's what we are here today for. What makes a leader? Leaders have the qualities of determination, unselfishness, and motivation. They also possess the ability of having people pay attention to them. Moreover, leaders inspire subordinates to achieve their potential and show them that the whole can be far greater than the sum of the parts. In addition, leaders possess good judgment and uncanny ability to spot talent that fits the needs of the organization and situation. To that end, leaders seek people with character as well as courage and develop them into on-field leaders. To use a football metaphor, a leader's organization must provide an atmosphere of mutual admiration, a suppression of egos, and a team concept to allow the leader to overcome adversity. If you ask people about their leaders or their organizations and what would they probably say, they would say close-knit, unselfish, well-coached, admired, and that's leadership basically. Thomas Cronin, a recognized authority on public policy, defines leadership as making things happen that might not otherwise happen and preventing things from happening that ordinarily might happen. It is a process of getting people together to achieve common goals and aspirations. Leadership is a process that helps people transform intentions into positive actions, visions, and reality. Like I said earlier, we should start with thinking and acting strategically because that's the basis for effective leadership. In essence, the quality of leadership effectiveness is the result of disciplined adherence to a set of fundamental tenets and skills that characterize an individual. One such tenet is to think and act strategically. In fact, a leader's primary responsibility is not just developing a policy. A leader must accept responsibility for shaping the future of the organization by expanding mental horizons to identify and meet the challenges of the future. Marva Collins, after developing her Westside Preparatory School, demonstrated this tenet by shaping the expectations for her students who were labeled problem students and learning disabled students. She sets policy. I think of how many times visitors from all over the world have come to Westside Preparatory School and remarked, "It's amazing what you do here with children." I then think how many times we have called the profits of a billion-dollar corporation a miracle. We expect profits, we expect success. Why then can't we expect the same success from our children? It is the policy of Westside Preparatory to expect nothing less than success for each student at the school. An effective leader must have a strategic perspective, always operating from the future and guiding others to the future. The leader starts with a vision and then defines the necessary strategic issues to achieve this vision. The next step is to develop long-range goals and address these strategic issues and provide decision-making and budgetary focus for the successful implementation of these goals. living from one annual budget to another and from one meeting to the next, condemns a system and its future to happenstance and condemns the leader to function only as a situational leader. This type of thinking confuses governance and policy. Subordinates expect leadership, sound thinking, and decisive action. Good leaders understand and demonstrate the elements of teams and teamwork. Another tenet of an effective leader who thinks and acts strategically is to understand and demonstrate the elements of teams and teamwork. By law, leaders exist and have authority only when their members convene as a body to do the business. They also are a component of a corporate being which must speak, act, and fulfill its commitments with one voice in a mature, effective, reliable manner. Consequently, leaders, a collection of diverse individuals, come together to constitute and act as an entity, and only when operating as this entity can they exercise authority and fulfill their purpose. This is a classic definition of a team. In short, a team exists to fulfill a specific function or purpose and is made up of disparate, interdependent parts, individuals who collectively achieve a capacity that none of its members could achieve individually. Leaders are, in effect, the catalysts for actualization. They ferment the mix, they create synergy. The synergy sounds like energy, and that's basically it. They try to bring those people together, all their talents. They want to make something new. While many team efforts are productive, few are synergistic. To create synergy, leaders inspire commitment to team success and quality performance. Leaders focus the energy of individuals and allow them to accept responsibility for the group product. Leaders light the fire of desire, which flames into action and produces an explosive burst of accomplishment. Success feeds success as individual interests are redirected into group goals. Hence, a culture of synergy emerges and enables empowered people to produce well beyond the most optimistic predictions. Members of a team cannot be synergistic unless they understand, master, and demonstrate the fundamentals of teamwork, a clear sense of purpose and goals, a team performance based on clearly defined roles and relationships that unite individual talents and capacities, an integration of members who have basic technical, interpersonal, and rational decision-making competency, a commitment to team success and quality performance, a climate of trust, openness, integrity, consistency, and mutual respect, a set of clear standards outlining success and performance, excellence, the support resources and recognition to achieve success, and a principled and disciplined leadership. A third tenet of leaders is the time they spend building their sense of team and developing the skills for productive teamwork. So you have to master a small group decision-making. To build a team, a leader must have the ability to master small group decision-making. Most staffs are classic small groups of fewer than a dozen people. They demonstrate certain skills and behaviors that link their members together, as well as the process they follow to make decisions to fulfill their group's purpose. People are motivated by external rewards such as bonuses, benefits, promotions, incentives, and pay raises. Internal rewards are even stronger motivators. Everyone wants to feel important. People crave self-respect and respect of others. They work for the approval of their peers as well as their leaders. People respond to well-deserved praise. Rewards for individual talent, achievements, and accomplishments come in the form of certificates, letters of appreciation, positive notes, or simple thank yous. Workers need to hear that their efforts made someone else's life a little easier. These gestures of gratitude are powerful motivators that affect the mental, emotional, and spiritual state of a person. When employees perceive that they are appreciated and valued, trusted and treasured, they take pride in their role as part of the team and share ownership in its accomplishments. When the workers' psychological needs and personal values are satisfied, productivity and profitability of the organization increase proportionally. Organizational performance thrives on personal achievement. You should also clearly define roles and relationships if you want to be a great leader. In any organization, leaders must be able to clearly define roles and relationships. Another characteristic of effective leadership. Tony Soprano of Sopranos, in one of the episodes, told one of his lieutenants after he had done something inappropriate, "You're a capo, act like one." Each team member's contribution to the team leadership relationship, school board member, director, principal, teacher, parent, student, must be defined in terms of roles to be assumed, function, and how those roles are to be carried out through behavior, through performance. A role has two elements: function of or what the specific responsibilities of that role are, irrespective of incumbency and performance, and how the person, how this person occupying the role is expected to behave and fulfill his responsibilities. Leaders must have a clear definition of function. The performance component must be defined within the team through discussion and mutual definition of behaviors and practices expected of the leader and subordinates. Lee Iacocca, when discussing teamwork in his biography, uses a legend of National Football League. Vince Lombardi, who I already mentioned, when asked what makes a winning team, replied, "Start with the fundamentals. A player's got to know the basics of the game and how to play his position. The players have to play as team, not as a bunch of individuals. The difference between mediocrity and greatness is the feeling that players have for each other. The team concept facilitates expected roles and relationships and gives constructive feedback to its members as to the degree that they are fulfilling these expectations. You have to also establish and abide by a leader-subordinate partnership. That's very important. Subsequently, these tenets lead to the tenet establish and abide a leadership-subordinate partnership. Subordinate means staff, followers, employees, participants, those individuals who work with a leader. The statement, "Leaders make policy, subordinates implement policy," is a misconception of any reality. Policy making and policy implementations are not distinct, separate functions. Policy making implementation is a continuum of thought and relations that transform ideas and abstractions into defined observable end or outcomes, results, programs, buildings, etc. Leaders and subordinates share their continuum as partners, ensuring each other's success. Each person plays an important role in creating and sound policies and ensuring their effective implementation through reliable administrative practices and performances. John Carver, a widely acclaimed author who writes about staffs that make a difference, discusses this partnership in one of his books. He believes that leaders should allow staff within a leader's established limits to define the means for achieving those ends and to establish a leader-staff linkage that empowers staff to do its task and to be evaluated on the results produced by them. Leaders who accept and abide by this partnership focus on vision and goals, good policy, and effective staff performance. Those who do not engage in leader-staff partnership fall prey to micromanaging, a perceived need to become involved in or retain approval over any decision and action. You have to also implement systemic evaluation of policy. Leaders frequently fall into Jean-Luc Picard syndrome. Make it so. They assume that a leader's actions equate to policy program implementation. The next time leaders hear about the policy is when a problem or a crisis arises. However, effective leaders expect periodic feedback on policy results and possible policy amendments as required. This feedback can be provided through progress reports, in-process reviews, policy reviews, etc. You should also remember about allocating leader time, energy appropriately, because you don't have all the your day is limited. So in reality, a leader knows she cannot be everywhere at the same time. So to be at the right place at the right time, a leader must be able to allocate his time appropriately. The seventh characteristic of effective leaders. Leaders play in a number of settings, arenas to achieve overall peak performance. So the following four arenas have their own purposes and contributions to a mission's effectiveness. The first one is goal setting, retreats or meetings, exploration and analysis, study sessions, disposition, formulation, regular group meetings, community interactions with families and other agencies. Therefore, effective leaders have at least one goal-setting retreat or meeting annually. They also must have 2 staff meetings monthly, usually in the weeks between regularly scheduled, higher-level staff meetings. Here they confer with their staffs and other experts about significant items under consideration requiring eventual actions. Unfortunately, many leaders shortchange this area, pushing the opportunity for learning into the formal staff meetings, which are not designed for nor capable of promoting much in-depth analysis of complex issues. Actually, the disposition formulation arena is designed to get a vote, not to promote careful analysis of complex issues. However, the community arena is becoming more important because it is rapidly transforming the role of leader and how a leader's time is spent. Communities today are more dependent upon sophisticated alliances and partnerships among groups, public and private entities, and multiple government agencies to negotiate complex and multi-jurisdictional issues. The most profound change in how leaders operate is occurring within this area, which requires more time in interactions outside of the unit and put more time constraints on subordinates and staff. You also should remember about setting clear rules and procedures for meetings. For a leader to use time and energy wisely, she must be able to set clear rules for procedures and procedures for meetings. So this is the 8th tenet of effective leadership. Meetings exist for the purpose of doing a leader's business. Literature on how to conduct effective, productive meetings details the need for and adherence to clearly defined rules and procedures. Many leaders, however, drift from those rules and procedures in pursuit of informality, collegiality, and just being nice. They let their meetings drawn on with lack of focus, redundant comments, and endless discussions, and that's the total waste of time. Rules and procedures do not preclude staff input, courtesy, or sensitivity to everyone's concern and viewpoints. They respect all those elements in addition to the necessity to conduct business in an orderly, disciplined, productive manner. You also should learn and develop continuously as a leader because you're not immune to the change around you. The last tenet of a leader is to learn and develop continuously as a leader. Leadership growth flourishes with self-study, education, training, and experience. As a leader grows, so does the performance of everyone within the organization. According to Peter Drucker, when discussing developing executive effectiveness, states It requires changing people's preoccupation with problems to a vision of opportunity, from concern with weakness to exploitation of strength. Rudy Giuliani, who once was a prosecutor in New York City, and then he was a two-time mayor of New York City as well, has a chapter in his book Leadership entitled "Study, Read, Learn Independently." Leaders must decide what their role is, identify the skills needed to be effective in that role, and then get trained. Highly effective leaders honestly know they don't know everything, because no one knows everything. Therefore, they take advantage of the myriad of opportunities to learn and perfect their skills by reading and attending courses, conferences, workshops, and every forum in order to expand their skills to lead and govern well. Highly effective leaders also learn as leaders. They objectively assess their performance of each of the 9 tenets. They decide where gains can be made, then set up the opportunity through workshops to learn the skills to make those gains. Wow.
Thank you, Piotr. I think you touched upon really great points, but because we do not have some interaction, it's really hard to keep hearing. So I wanted to chime in and read a quote, if you do not mind.
Okay.
From Margaret Thatcher, so that you can take some breath as well. I think everyone knows Iron Lady, the former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, and she has had such a nice thing that I all the time try to remember. It's about being a leader is like being a lady. If you have to remind people you are a lady, you aren't then a leader. So this is a nice thing, because she was keen to have this approach of true leadership, which is based on authenticity, standing up for her principles. She had specific principles which brought successful leadership of in England, of British nation overall, and the government. So she was also emphasizing that this standing up for your principles is even more important, and specifically important in face of the strong opposition. So someone, I think, who wants to become a national heroine from that point of view of leadership should have a look into her style as well. So it depends on the work, and I think whoever is in this room is a leader in education field, and we will appreciate also if you can highlight some tips for people who are in the field of education, whatever you think applies to that, because it is a bit different field, both the non-formal and formal education ones, and we would like to also hear your opinion on that part as well.
I think that the tips I chose for this presentation fit quite nicely with the education sector, because as you can see, start by understanding your leadership style. I think that everyone wherever he or she is placed should definitely start with this self-analysis of who we are, what we want to do, how we want to achieve it. So that's one of the things that I think that, for example, teachers should definitely do at the beginning of their journey as teachers, and at every step, because being a teacher is also a lifelong journey. So you always have to reassess yourself, what you do, what you think. You also have some feedback from I don't know, teachers, parents, administration. So this process of self-understanding is continuous throughout your life, and that's one of these things that all people who aspire to be effective leaders in every sector, every field, every place in life should definitely remember about this self assessment. So every time you plan on doing something, think about yourself first. How I am capable of doing this, what I have, what I lack, what I should definitely learn in order to be able to realize this or that project. So yeah, so definitely self understanding. The creativity, encouraging creativity is very important, not only I don't know, in business setting, but also in education, because what would be a school good if the children wouldn't be able to express their creativity, their freedom of thought, being able to use their imagination. And when you think about creativity, it's funny because when we are children, we are natural inventors. We use often our imagination, and then with time this creativity is stifled to an extent, because we are more and more entangled into the web of expectations, rules, norms, societal norms. And that's why we should definitely remember about encouraging creativity wherever we are, because that's one of the reasons that people might follow me if they see that I encourage their creativity. I am open to their ideas, especially new ideas. So yeah, so definitely encouraging creativity, serving as a role model, definitely important in area of education, but also in other areas, because like I said earlier, you only can as a leader, you only can rely on your charisma, on your on who you are. You are not leader because someone said so. You are leader because you work on yourself. You have some innate traits, like we said earlier as well. So definitely being a role model, being able to show others how to do something, being ready to help them, and makes a great leader. When trying to show the difference between a manager and leader, there is also an illustration to this, when they show that a manager will direct his subordinates to do something, and a leader is willing to get involved if his her is needed. So definitely serving as a role model, being able to give a positive influence on others, to I don't know, to encourage people to be better, also very important when serving as a role model. Be passionate. Very recently, people, especially researchers, try to look into the question, what else make great leaders, and some researchers suggested that great leaders have also high emotional quotient. So they have this innate ability to be able to communicate with people emotionally. So at this emotional level, they are able to inspire people, because they resonate with the emotions of the team they work with. So in this in this area, that's definitely important to be passionate themselves, but also to be able to evoke the passion and other positive emotions in people we are working with, be it children when we are at school, or I don't know, our coworkers when we are at let's say a company, for example. We should also listen and communicate effectively. I've already said that, but we should also repeat it repeatedly because listening and communicating effectively is very, very important. Because firstly, people know what we think, but we also should be able to listen to others, because others also want to feel important. As I said earlier, it's also very, very important for team building, to be able to listen to the people, to make them also important within the framework of our team. They want to feel heard and seen. So that's why listening and communicating effectively is very, very, very important. Of course, having a positive attitude, that's important in every setting, because people in general hate negativity. If you are grumpy, if you are aloof, I don't know, that's definitely a sign that you won't be able to work nicely with others. So whatever your position within the team is, you should definitely try to have a positive attitude as often as possible. We know that it's not always possible, because many different often bad things happen, but still we should definitely make a huge effort to stay positive, because it's not only help us ourselves, because it will help us psychologically. It will raise our mental resilience, but also will help others to be better, to create a better team. We should definitely encourage people to make contributions. That's linked with listening and communicating clearly. People need to be heard, seen, appreciated, and we definitely should be open to the feedback, because we do not know everything. We cannot know everything, because we are limited as any other human being in the world. So definitely being open to feedback not only will encourage new processes, creativity, etc., but definitely will create a better team. Motivating your followers, that's in part connected with innate charisma, for example. So if you are a charismatic leader, this will definitely flow more easily and naturally for you. But still, it's possible to learn that, to master that. So we should definitely always remember about motivating our followers, people we are working with, because the more we motivate them, the greater the greater potential they can achieve. So we should also have this in mind when it comes to their individual potentials, because we want this synergistic effect in the end. Offering rewards and recognition is also very important, because that's what shows people. This is this feedback from us, from leaders. They know that they are seen, heard, and all their efforts are rewarded. So the more positive feedback they get in terms of rewards, bonuses, etc., the better, because it encourages them to work harder, to work better, to be better for others, etc. So definitely we should remember about offering rewards and recognition, and we shouldn't be close to trying new things, because if we are leaders, the people who others look up to, we should remember that the world is constantly changing. So we are probably the first in line to be to be confronted by new things. So if we want others to be open to changes, to new things, we definitely should be the ones who lead by example. So we should be definitely open to keeping to trying new things. And that's all, I think.
Thank you, Piotr. Thank you. So we used the full time. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, we will finish at this part. It seems that nobody has questions. Thank you so much. It was lovely to have this class held by you. We hope next time, if we have any opportunity, you will also join us, and then we will have more participants. Anyways, thank you so much for your time. See you later then. Bye-bye.